everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Tug of More.
Man, so glad that you guys are taking some time to hang out with us today.
That's right. We're just two friends having a conversation all the time about where we are and where we want to be.
Yeah, you know, that idea, that desire to advance, to push, to get to the next level with the reality of I'm on the step that I'm on.
That's right.
I can see up the staircase, but dang, I'm down here.
Right. I've come a long ways,
Yep.
but I'm still not satisfied because I want to keep going into more.
And so that's the tug of more.
That's right.
Disclaimer at the top. Pretty important disclaimer.
Uh-oh.
We are both a little bit tad under the weather.
That's right.
We're not yet over the weather. We're under it.
We're under it. If you live in Texas, then you already know that it is green outside like the trees, but it's also green like on the furniture because there's pollen everywhere.
I saw a video of people cutting a tree down, and they cut the tree down, and then you saw that after the tree fell, the shape of the tree was still there because all the pollen stayed. It was the craziest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A poof of Trustin can't talk.
Yeah.
And while I'm talking, it may sound like I'm going through puberty. I think that already happened, but if my voice
You have a
peaks,
few squeaks every now and then?
dude, I've been squeaking all over the place.
Oh my word. What's funny is never say never is a thing that they say, and it's true because my friend, my brother, Trustin, always says, I don't have allergies.
I'm not sure if it's allergies or if I'm sick.
Well, you
So if I'm
have
sick-
a allergy-induced sickness.
Oh, is that how it works?
That's what it is, yes.
I got a phone call. Amanda called me the other morning, and so I answered, and I know that look, here she goes.
Sorry.
Whitney be coughing, hacking up a lung, sound like she's been smoking some Marlboros.
I know, for like 20 years.
Amanda calls me, and I know that she thought I had just woke up.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, this is just what's happening.
just the way I sound.
my maybe this is a sexier,
this is what I was gonna say.
raspier.
This is your radio voice.
It's my radio voice. Hello, welcome to the Tug of More.
It works.
Guys, I don't know when you're watching this episode. You know the crazy thing about the internet is you could be watching this episode in 10 years.
That's true.
Well,
Once it's out, hey, if you don't know this about the internet, once you put something on the internet, it's out there forever.
that's why you got to keep your clothes on when you're getting your picture taken.
That's right. You never know what you say is going to come back around and get you someday.
Okay, so in our world right now, we are T-minus 6 days from
true.
Easter.
Easter. And in our world, Easter is the mecca of the events of the year.
Yeah, it's a big one. See, I just did it. You hear that squeak?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah.
one. And so we're 6 days away from Easter. So super excited. I believe that this is going to be a really unique, fun year.
Yeah.
You know, Easter is one of those high attended Sundays. I'm not sure it'll be our most high attended Easter.
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know. Because we've had some bangers.
Well, yeah, that was pre-COVID and in 4 services where, if we are honest and we'll admit it,
Oh, well, if we're talking about the double count number.
if we're talking about the double count, there's definitely, you and I got counted 4 times
Well,
that
not
Easter.
just you and I.
No, I
but,
know, our staff and some of our volunteers. And so that's this little sneaky trick of the church world.
But my
Sometimes
goal,
your counts have double counts.
you know, the goal this year is
What's the
not
goal?
the highest number.
Exactly.
The goal is that the people of More Church will actually not just attend, but invite.
That's right.
Because guess what? If you come into More Church, you already know the story I'm about to tell.
Yeah.
You already know it.
You already know it.
You could get up and take the mic and preach it.
Right.
So don't just come without somebody.
Right.
Invite somebody.
Otherwise-
I've got the, look, I'm practicing when I preach, and I got the invite cards in my pocket right now.
Oh, good job.
And so I've been carrying these around with me for about a month.
Yeah.
And just handing them out.
I've got them on the dash in my car, like right here, to remind me when I get out. Because the problem with me is I change clothes, then I leave it in my pants, then I
Yeah.
wash it in the dishwasher. Nope, in the dryer.
Your pants got real dirty if they're in the dishwasher. So I actually, one of my favorite things to do is to invite people to church that I know are Christians.
Yeah.
And so I saw a buddy of mine at a restaurant yesterday he's worship pastor in another church. And I went up to him and I gave him one of these cards. I was like, hey, I've really been praying that you accept Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's like a bad pastor joke amongst pastors.
Yeah. But don't waste too many because we got to invite the real people
I got to
that need
say
be invited.
that this last Sunday, one of my favorite things ever happened.
What?
Whitney was preaching.
Yeah, that's true.
So good. Nailed it. But at the beginning of your message, you brought Lillian out. Here's a pic. And Lillian came out dressed as a peep. And I was putting her to bed last night, and she was telling me all about it.
Was she?
Yeah,
I
she
was going to ask
excited.
if she loved it. Because here's the thing. She was here last week hanging out with you for a little while. And she asked, can I wear, so our whole thing this year with Easter and our whole thing going forward.
Every year.
For
all Mecca of time.
Even when our graphic is not this, it's still our vibe. And that is that we have a peep Jeep that tells you to invite your peeps to Easter with More Church. And we have a peep costume that Destiny found on the internet on eBay. And Lillian got to wear it in a parade that we were in.
Yeah.
And so then she says last week, she says, can I wear it again on Sunday and tell everybody to invite their peeps? And me being the like memory making mama that I am was like, yes, we will find a way to make this happen. And so I wore a yellow dress and we matched and it was adorable and wonderful. But what I love is that she was so confident to come and like, she just was like, I want to wear it and I want them to know. And you tried to even get her to tell jokes. And she's like, no, I'm not telling jokes. This is about inviting people to Easter. Like she was so serious, did a great job and was really bold and mighty. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. And so Easter is an exciting deal. And so if you don't live in the area, you don't attend more church, but you attend another church, who are you inviting?
Right.
Who are you bringing with you on this unique day in our American culture?
Yeah.
Where even people that are real far from God and don't even care to have a relationship with him for some reason on this Sunday, put in some effort to go buy a nice dress or a tuck in their shirt and put on a tie, you know, and go to church. It's a great opportunity because it's in those little moments that the hook might bite.
Yeah.
The seed might take. There might be something that really happens in their mind or their heart. I was just watching, there's this comedian, this is going to be a whole other world with that you probably don't know about. There's this comedian guy named Andrew Schultz. And Andrew Schultz,
I don't think I do.
he kind of runs in the Joe Rogan
I'm aware of that
world.
one.
Okay. The dude is not saved.
Right.
Like all of the life choices and decisions and things he talks about that are very not godly. Well, I saw a clip from his podcast just this week that he went to church. And he talks about how like his wife's brother goes and really enjoys it. And so this guy is rich and like he has like a new Netflix special. Like he's doing really well. Yeah. And he goes to this church and he talks about how it's a non-denominational. And he's like, those, what did he say? He says the non-denominational, those are the leftist ones. No, what did he say? Like about how the non-denoms,
they're like wild and out.
Yeah, they're wild
and out ones.
And so he says, yeah, this church that I go to, he was like, it wasn't even in a church building. It was.
You said something. Siri was saying
recording.
all your words. Sorry.
Siri was reaching out to Andrew Schultz.
Yes.
And so he goes to this church, and it's in a school cafeteria. So he gets invited to a church plant.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so he goes to this church plant, and he says, you know what? I was crying within 3 minutes. And he said, I don't even know why. He says they sang this song about the oceans. And now this is a like hardened dude.
Wow.
He's just out there banging chicks, doing coke.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what he's doing. Sorry, Andrew, you're not going to see this, but if you do, I'm not blasting you. I'm saying he's not
His
living a godly life.
Totally different,
but yet he put himself in this environment, and you know what? God spoke to him.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit reached out and started to draw him. And then he says to his buddies on the podcast, he says, one of them's like, yeah, did you put any money in the offering bucket? And he goes, I did. He said, I gave all of the cash that I had in my wallet.
Oh, wow.
And he said, because I just felt like God might want to be close to me. And I was like,
wow,
this guy that you would never assume would ever step foot in a church. Yeah. He went and like the Holy Spirit starting something.
That's really cool. I
saw
this morning.
Be praying for more.
No, it's amazing because I think what so many of us think when inviting someone is, well, it's not going to make a difference. Like if you have a neighbor, I have a neighbor that I have had for the entire 8 years that I've lived in my house.
Yeah.
And like they do not love God and they're kind of a punk.
Oh, we saw them. We were out at a restaurant and we saw their neighbors.
And you tried to talk to him and he was very...
Oh, and he needed a designated driver.
Yeah. And so like, they're not gonna, in my opinion, in my humanness, it's easy for me to say, what would be the point of inviting them?
Yeah, they're too jaded.
Because they're too jaded. They're too far from God. I was watching today, on my stories on Instagram, a friend of mine, a distant friend, I don't even know her well, and she now is doing like deep missions work. She goes over to Africa all the time and helping build the school with another friend of ours. And I did not know her story. And she said, hey, if you've never invited someone to church, this is a Sunday to do it. She said, because what you may not know about me is 10 years ago, I was a single mom. I didn't want anything to do with God. My mom kept inviting me to her church and I kept yelling at her, stop telling me about your Jesus. Stop telling me about God. And she said, but it was Easter and I felt guilty. And so I went. And she's like, my life has never been the same since that day. And what her life is now, I would have never guessed. Was who she was 10 years ago. Yeah. And I think often we can think, well, what is my little invite going to do? But all God wants us to do is invite. It's his job. What you just said, what that guy felt is God's presence
Is
with
God
him.
doing his job?
And God did his job.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's in a church plant. It's in a cafeteria. You
Yeah.
and I have done that before. That's garbage atmosphere.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you try, I'm not saying the church is garbage atmosphere,
No.
but no matter how hard you try, you can have literally Carrie Joe leading worship and like whoever, the bishop preaching, and the atmosphere is still garbage because it's a school cafeteria. But God's the one who shows up and he does the work. And so like we shouldn't get insecure, intimidated, or just think, man, it's not going to do any different. That's not up to us.
It's so good.
It's not up to us. It's up to God. And so, whether it's a guy who's literally like so successful in the eyes of the world, or whether it's a girl, a single mom who's just like, apart. I want nothing to do with God. Invite them.
Invite them. Invite them. Who are you inviting? Don't show up to Easter.
Oh, I have one more.
Don't show up to Easter and have not invited somebody. Yeah.
And pastors, you're not off the hook. Like we have a lot of leaders, friends, pastors that follow the tug of war, and like you're not off the hook.
Your team's social media post that you share is not your scapegoat of evangelism.
Correct.
I'm going to pass all of these out.
Correct. And I think you lead that by example better than anyone I've ever seen. And that anywhere we are, anytime we're having a conversation with anybody, whether you know whether they go to church or not, you're joking about it that you invite your pastor friends, but you invite all the people. And I think it's what we have to do. If we're not, our job is not just what happens in the four walls. Yeah. It's to go and be the church outside the walls.
I had a really awkward experience. There's a barbecue restaurant that we frequent all the time. We have meetings at, and we're there almost weekly. Del Toro is here in Mansfield. Right. And so one of the girls that works there, we see all the time.
We talk to her all the time. Yeah.
And so I have just kind of been building like relational change in my pocket with her. And then like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, hit her with the like, hey, you should come to church sometime. Yeah. And man, her walls went up so fast.
So hard.
Into like her telling me about how she has social anxiety, and so how she can't do big crowds, and how she doesn't go to church, and how she's went before. And I'm telling you, it's funny because we've been going there for a year. Yeah. This restaurant. Friendly, nice, talkative, hooking me up with the refills, all the things. Mm-hmm. Refills of brisket I'm talking about. No, I'm kidding. And then I gave her that heart invite, and now she's awkward with me. Yeah. But she won't always be.
No.
And she might not come this Easter, but maybe Christmas.
Yeah. And
maybe next Easter.
And you have we have a responsibility now that she may be being awkward with us, but we can't start being awkward with her. No. And so we still treat her exactly the same way we did before. Hey, what's up? How are you? Oh my gosh, I'm going to try this today. Like all these things. I think sometimes can go, oh, that was awkward. And then we act awkward. But if we're the representation of Jesus, he's not awkward. So
the weeks that I invite the most people to come to more church?
When?
The weeks I'm not preaching.
That's true too. Yeah.
This girl, when I invited her, it was when you were doing your last Get Off the Throne.
And you were like, hey, come, she's going to do it.
Because what happens is I'm not inviting them to see me.
Right.
And so pastors, maybe you should invite somebody else to preach just so you can have a great window of evangelism so you don't feel egotistical. Because it's kind of egotistical feeling. Hey man, come to my church. This week I'm right. You know what I mean?
No, I can see that.
I got my shirt ironed. I got this prop that I'm doing. You're going to think I'm so cool.
Yeah.
No, invite them when you're not even preaching.
That's really good. Really good. Love it so much. Or like this week for Easter, we're having a choir, which is something we don't normally do.
I saw them pulling out some risers trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
they're doing it next week. I'm super pumped about it. It's not only like worshipful, but also sounds really good too. But it's a unique thing. So when you have a unique day, that's a great opportunity also.
100%.
So hey, we're having a choir. That's crazy. We haven't done that in a year. Zoo. Or something different. The hooks is what we call it. And so invite the people.
On this Andrew Schultz's podcast, he says after how he was so moved and motivated and gave the money, he says, now I still can't quantify how they think the earth is only 4,000 years old. And the comedians all laughed so hard. And I get it. Yeah. I don't think the earth is only 4,000 years old, just for theological basis. I don't think that that's the case. But it made me think that this guy has this sentence in his head that he's been carrying around since he was in junior high.
Right.
He talked about science class in junior high.
Right.
And about how since then he's thought, I'm not doing anything with God or anything with Christians. Because they think the earth is only 4,000 years old. And as we're reaching people, as we're evangelizing, as we're talking about Jesus, inviting somebody to church, sometimes we have to be able to get through those pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't need to have a debate.
Yeah.
There's not a debate. Invite them. Tell them God loves them. Tell them your testimony. And like, who knows, man? Maybe we'll get to heaven and God will be like, yep, the earth was exactly 4,000 years old and I snapped my fingers and I made it. Or maybe he tells us, yeah, during creation, though I say in the book it says 7 days, it was actually 7 billion years.
Yeah, who knows?
We don't know. Maybe Adam and Eve lived in the garden
but I think
for millennia before they fell.
Yeah.
There's giant gaps of time that we don't know about.
Okay, but that is another point.
Okay.
In the invite that I think is so important.
Yes.
It's okay to say, I don't know.
It's okay to say you don't know.
I think that we feel like we have to like have the answers perfect. I've had so many people who are like, but what if they ask me a Bible question and I don't know the answer?
What about the
Nephilim? Whatever it is.
It's when angels came down and slept with man and they birthed giants.
Absurd. I'm like,
I don't know.
That's what you're thinking of. But yeah, okay. But we don't have to know, and we can say I don't know. I think it's beautifully done to say like, hey, there's a whole lot about God we don't know, and that's why I'm glad He's God and not me. And like then just say I don't actually know about that. That's why I go to church to learn. Like there's all kinds of answers we can give back that we don't have to get insecure. We could just be like, hey, I don't know. Let's find out together.
I invited a guy to church one time, and he was like, no, man, I'm not going to go. I was like, what? He said, I don't believe the Bible. He says, the Bible says that there's used to be a unicorn, and it does. The Bible references a unicorn.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't believe that whole book is fake. I was like, okay, wait a minute. You're telling me that you so believe that there was never on earth a unicorn,
a horse with a tail out its head.
Now, what's more probable, a horse with a horn out of its head, or a giraffe? No, think about what a giraffe is. A giraffe is like a horse camel with a 9-foot neck.
Yeah, right.
Which one? Have you ever seen a deer? Deer have antler growing out their head. What's that thing that swims in the ocean? Is the narwhal or something?
The narwhal, yeah.
I'm saying actually a unicorn isn't that far of a stretch from the imagination. Right. But sometimes people have these these things, these reasons, these moments of something that happened, or
it's also absurd to say that the Red Sea parted and people walked through it. Like the whole Bible is full of things that are miraculously crazy. Yeah. So what weird thing to say that a unicorn is the thing that, but
I think that Christians, we get one of those interactions somewhere along the way, and we feel, Mike Tyson, he said, you always have a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Yeah. And so we evangelize to somebody, and then we get punched with a question, and then the rest of our life we don't say anything.
Or we die on the hill. This is a phrase that my son Easton has recently acquired in his life, and it's helping him.
Easton's a hill dyer.
Yeah, and he's learned, but he's learning that we can't die on these hills, and so we die on the hill of, no, I do believe the earth is 4,000 years. It does not freaking matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Why are you going to disrupt your invite to them to know Jesus, to die on the hill of something that doesn't matter? And so like we've had to learn as we're inviting people, like you don't have to tell them everything you know. You don't have to like actually the Bible says, no, you don't need to do that. Just say, come to church. Hey, sometimes you shutting your mouth is actually the better witness, and just being loving and kind. And
well, let's ask. The Bible calls us to be a witness, not a lawyer.
Correct.
But some people treat their faith as they have to be God's litigator. Yeah. That I have to prove everything. No. What does a witness do? If you're at an intersection and you see a car accident happen in front of you in the intersection, the police officer comes up to you and they say, what?
Can you give me your account of what has happened here?
What did you see? What
have you experienced?
They do not ask you to climb under the car and examine if the brakes were working. Why? You're not a mechanic.
No.
They don't get you a tape measure and go and measure the skid marks.
They don't have you redo.
You know why? Because you're not the crime scene investigator.
Right.
You're a witness. Yeah. And what we're called to do is to just be a witness. What have we seen? What have we heard? You know, the truth is,
what have I experienced with God? That's it.
Yeah.
Go.
We're going to get to heaven and we're all going to be wrong on some stuff.
Right. Yeah, correct.
The Baptist going to be wrong on some stuff. The Catholic going to be wrong on a bunch of stuff. The Assemblies of God going to be wrong on some stuff.
Yeah.
All of us.
The non-denoms.
Everybody. Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian. All of us. We're all going to get up there, and we're going to have a little bit piece of it off.
Yeah. Because we are human in the human element. We're
human,
not
man.
God. We're just the witnesses.
So don't die on the hill
Yeah,
to not
let's not
to
die
not
on
be
the
a
hill
witness.
because it's not worth losing the argument. It's not worth losing the main battle.
Yeah.
Just to win the little argument. It isn't. It's not worth it.
Yeah. One of my most impactful moments, you gave me a great compliment earlier, thank you, that I'm reaching people, that I'm
yes.
always reaching
Yes,
people,
yes.
attempting, inviting, trying, talking
Yeah,
about Jesus
yeah.
to people. I was at a outreach. We used to go to New Orleans during Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Mardi Gras. We had a Mardi Gras story. So we go to Mardi Gras.
I'm like, which story is he
We had
about
a guy.
to tell?
We had a guy who
Oh,
used to go to
God.
our church. He used to go to our church.
Oh, my golly.
And he was gone on a Sunday or a couple of weeks, and we're like, "What's happening?" I found him on social media, and he's on a balcony with no shirt on, a bunch of beads, and he's got his phone and a big beer in his hand. He goes, "What's up, his mother effing Mardi Gras?" And he's yelling and screaming. So, anyways,
But didn't he give us a shout out in the
yeah,
video?
he was like, "Oh, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm watching church at Mardi
Yes.
Gras."
Oh my word.
I
It
can't
was
yell
so
my
funny.
voice. Anyways,
Yes.
so
he
we're-
lost his glasses too. I remember in the chaos, and
Yeah.
his wife was like, "Anybody seen the glasses? We're
So,
looking for them at Mardi Gras."
This is years ago. We're
Okay.
at this outreach.
Long time ago.
We're at this
Sorry.
outreach in Mardi Gras. I have so many Mardi Gras stories. and we would go down on the streets at night
Yeah.
and like pass out bottles of water and like help people. There would be people so drunk that they could be taken advantage of.
Right.
And so we're not down there like turn or burn. There are those guys down there.
Yeah.
We built what I called an apologetics team, that after someone would get in a fight with a Christian basher, we would then go up to that person and apologize that another Christian acted that way.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're doing all this ministry over
Yeah.
down there, and they had invited a pastor to come and speak to all of us college students. And so this pastor who flew in from somewhere to teach us college students about evangelism, he's up teaching and talking about it. And he says, as a matter of fact, on my flight here to this city, I was telling the guy I sat on the airplane with about Jesus. And he tells me his story. And this pastor, and he says, as a matter of fact, he decided to come with me tonight. And he's like, "Hey, I don't know, Bill, would you stand up?" And there this guy is on the third row. He met him on the airplane. And the pastor had spoken so much to him in an hour flight
Wow.
that guy
Changed whatever plans
changed
he had.
whatever's plans. And he came to hear
Yeah.
this pastor preach. And the guy got saved that night.
Wow.
And I remember sitting there as like a 20-year-old, so inspired that this pastor
Yeah.
wasn't just talking about it from a stage,
Right.
but that he had like a dude in the room who was just on the airplane
Yeah.
next to him. And so I've tried to do that.
Yeah.
That hasn't ever happened though. That's cool.
No, but yes, but it's because you see the end result as more important than the awkward encounter. And I say it about you sometimes behind your back, I guess, as a compliment.
Thank you.
No, I don't like, I guess I've said it to you, I think to your face a bunch of times too, but like you don't have an awkward meter that ticks on until a very certain, I don't know if you actually have an awkward meter because you're like, this is not awkward unless I decide it's awkward. And so
Yeah.
I'm just going to choose that it's not awkward. And so I'm just going to go do the thing because
Well, I push through.
the end
for
result.
the end result.
The end result. Yeah. Like you are willing to do whatever not that you're not normal. That's not what I
It's okay.
mean.
I'll
Regular.
be abnormal. We'll do a series called Abnormal.
What you are willing to push through
Abnormal
what
evangelism.
regularly whatever would be thought of as awkward because the end result is more important to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great attribute for us to have when it comes to this huge thing in life of evangelism, because it literally is life or death. Like you use the phrase turn or burn, and I hate that phrase. Like I hate that there are people like that, but at their deep somewhere heart core, they have the right intention because their heart is just, they don't want to see people die and go to hell.
It started right.
But
then
it got twisted.
It can quickly turn judgmental or angry.
Correct. And so I'm like, for you, it's this revelation and this realization that like, hey, people's lives, they have a huge opportunity to accept Jesus or to live their life without him.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So push through that awkward.
Yeah, just
Like
turn off
this
your
week-
awkward meter and decide it's not awkward unless you decide it's awkward. So it's not awkward.
If someone that you loved was about to get hit by a truck,
Correct.
how loud would you scream to get their attention?
Yeah, you wouldn't care.
You would scream and take off your shirt and wave it over your head.
Right.
You wouldn't care who's watching.
Yeah. Right.
You wouldn't.
No, right.
But we're unwilling to do that when it comes to someone's eternity.
Absolutely.
Take off your shirt and start screaming to get their attention.
Yeah.
That God's not mad at them, that God loves
Yeah.
them, that
Yeah.
he really cares about
Yeah,
them.
for sure. Well, I think that we've done a good job of telling people what they ought to do and inviting people, because the truth is this week is the best, easiest opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so like, if you're like, no, I always think it's awkward. No, I never do it. Oh, I always like chicken out at the last minute. This is the easiest week of like a freebie where people are most receptive and a good place to practice and try.
Yeah. Just invite somebody.
Give yourself a goal like you would any other. If you are on the tug team, chances are good you have goals all over the place.
Yeah.
And so give yourself a goal. I'm going to invite 5 people this week, or I'm going to invite this person. Maybe it's very specific. I'm going to tell myself, like my husband is like, I'm going to invite my boss this week. Like, and that to him is a
oh crap,
like an oh crap person in his life of like, if I invite them,
I hope Trustin doesn't say nothing weird.
No, he literally was like, you won't see regular Aaron Barth doing announcements. I'll be being serious Aaron Barth doing announcements. Like, no, you won't. You'll just be yourself. You know, like we had a whole joking conversation about it. But maybe there's somebody specific in your life that you know, okay, I'm really supposed to talk to them. Give yourself the goal. That. I'll do it by Thursday. Give yourself like timeline, intentionality, number, whatever.
And if they don't live near you, invite them to a church in their area.
Absolutely.
Invite them to watch online.
Absolutely.
I was a youth pastor for a lot of years before I became a lead pastor.
Okay.
And so I was youth pastor at a large church in Houston. Mm-hmm. And we would have a weekly staff devotional.
Okay.
So like we'd have our staff devo and then like staff meeting, you know?
Yeah.
And I got asked one week to lead the staff devo. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do my devo on?
You did it on the silly putty?
No, that's my first sermon.
I know, I'm just kidding.
And so I did this devo, and it was something called like becoming a pastor ruined me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had this teaching, and I got up and I talked about how often I would tell people about Jesus before I was a pastor. Mm-hmm. But then when I became a pastor, the only time I ever talked about Jesus was from a microphone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I did this like contrast of how I used to be a soul winner, and then now I was just an office sitter.
Yeah.
I was just this person who told people to invite, but I didn't invite. And dude, I made the whole room. My awkward meter was definitely turned off because they were mad.
Oh, really?
Because how confrontational is that to tell a room of staff megachurch pastors, when's the last time you had a first time guest?
Well, it depends on your culture, but yes.
Because
you're right.
The answer was not for
often.
a long time.
Right.
And so that teaching that I gave was a shifting in my heart to be willing to even plant a church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when we planted the church, it was no longer big promotional budget.
Yeah.
We didn't have a billboard on the freeway.
Right.
The only way to invite people was to go walk around Target. Mm-hmm. And so Rachel and I would go and walk around Target with a handful of invite cards and try to have conversames about peanut butter with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
peanut butter.
You like these tortillas? you buying some Nutter Butters? Oh, I like Nutter Butters. Hey, you know what else I like? Not going to hell. It's so stupid.
Have you ever tried Jesus?
Yeah.
You're going to try this bread? Are you going to try Jesus?
And so it shook me into
it's good.
Becoming an evangelist.
Well, I think that it's not just pastors. I think it's the longer we serve God,
go there.
We stick into our circles and we get in circles. So then maybe you're in a life group now and you're just in the same life group. And these are the people that you do life with. And like, when's the last time you invited someone into that life group? When's the last time you went to the park together and actually met the other families that are there at the park? When's the last time you actually had a conversation with someone who is far from God? I was reminded when we went to that dinner where we saw my neighbor this week.
I was just about to bring this up.
We saw a guy that we've known a while and known kind of back and forth. He's been in church, hasn't always been. But I posted a picture that we were there, and his mom commented on my picture. And she's someone I used to work with years ago when I wasn't a pastor, but I was working in cosmetic world. And I remember one day, she just came up to me and was like, hey, my son just got accepted into this Bible college, and I don't know anything about that. But somebody told me that you would know about that, and that I should come talk to you, and that you would help me, like, not be freaked out by it, tell me what it means, and then pray with me? Would you like pray with me about it? And so it was one of those shifting moments in my life of like, oh, even though I am not in my pastoral job, even though I'm in this other job, I am still being a witness. I am still being an example, and I am still making a difference, even if it feels like I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be really intentional to keep going. Am I presenting myself to people around me? One, showing them a real example of what it is to be a believer of Christ. But then two, in a way that points other people to go, oh, you should talk to them. They know more about that. They know about God. And I was just so reminded of it when she commented like, hey, you should go see my son. He works next door. And what's funny was we just had. So I said, actually, we just went and saw him and hugged him and said hi to him. And like, the truth of the matter is we went into where he worked, which is a cigar lounge. And like most pastors would never go in a cigar lounge to say hello.
We weren't smoking.
No, we were just walking in to say hi.
Yeah.
But we were willing to go in and say, hey, we love this dude. I want him to come back and be a part of the house of God. Like, let's go after people with intentionality. We have people in our life. I have people in my family right now who aren't living for God.
Yeah.
You can find somebody. I think the excuse is, well, I don't really know anyone. Like for those dudes in that room, their pushback to you was, well, because I live such a holy life, I don't really know anyone.
And so
far from God. Yes, you do. We all do.
Yes, you do. That's an excuse. But let's say that's true. Then position yourself somewhere to reach people.
Right.
The reason that I still go to all these Chamber of Commerce things. So the reason that I said yes to go to this event that we went to, it was a Chamber of Commerce event, a dinner,
Correct.
is because I need to put my light in darkness somewhere.
Right.
Now, careful. That doesn't mean you go in to reach people, the girls at Hooters. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
You're not going to see me over there shining my light.
Well, and you're not going into it saying, I am coming in as the light in this dark place. That's not, you're only saying that in this context.
I have a friend who's a pastor in a rural area.
Yeah.
In like Montana. And I was talking to him this a couple years ago, and he was really struggling to reach people.
Yeah.
And I was telling him about how like, I do the Chamber of Commerce and how it's a place that I'm involved. He said, yeah, we're so small, we don't have Chamber of Commerce. And I had preached a camp in that kind of region of the country, and a kid while at the camp got bit by a snake. And so the ambulance, fire department stuff is so far away that a volunteer firefighter came out. And I said to him, hey, have you thought about, he's kind of like an active, fit guy. I said, you know what you should do is you should go and become a volunteer firefighter. And he did. And do you know how many people he's reached for his church as a volunteer firefighter?
Right.
Because as a volunteer firefighter, you meet all the other guys, you meet the police, you meet the dispatch people, and you meet people that you go out on calls for. And so he got involved in something he would never get involved in, just as a way to aim his light, to shine his light. Absolutely. And so like, if you're a pastor and all of your people are too holy, go get a gym membership.
Right.
Go volunteer somewhere.
Yeah.
Or accept the reality that when your kid has soccer practice, you're just a jerk and don't talk to anybody.
No, for real. Good grief. For real.
Like, we're all around people all the time. You said something this Sunday, dude, that was so good. Whitney preached this week. We're in the end of Get Off the Throne, and she did Get Your Pride Off the Throne. And you said, you were like kind of capping a couple different areas. And you said, dads, the reason that you go to daddy-daughter dance and don't dance is just because you're insecure.
Right.
And then you said that's the same reason that we don't talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
The reason that we don't invite the kids at our soccer practice or whatever is because we're just insecure.
Right. No, it's true. And we're too self-focused on our own stuff that we don't take the time. Because the fact of the matter is, if I'm really living a life with Jesus, it doesn't take me very long to talk about my life to where he comes into play.
100.
And so all I have to do is go, man, how's it going getting them to practice at home? How are they doing with their kick shots? Or kick shots? What is even that? I just made that word up. I don't even know. That you can then go, when mine gets upset and overwhelmed, here's what we do. Here's how we handle it. Like, you just use your regular life story. It doesn't have to be this like, oh, we're at soccer practice, hard break. Have
Romans
you heard
chapter
about
3.
Jesus? Yes, let me tell you. It's just, again, being a witness. Being a witness is explaining in our life, in our context, here's how we do this. And I think so often people get really stressed out because it's easy to go, well, it's easy for you, Pastor. You've
Yeah.
gone to Bible college, and so no wonder it's easy for you to slip that in at the cigar box.
It might
lounge.
be harder for me
Correct.
because when they find out I'm a pastor,
They freak out and act weird.
I'm now a threat.
Yeah.
I'm a
Their wall
threat.
goes up harder. And
Yeah.
so I'm like,
We had a lady we were inviting for years who used to work at Mellow Mushroom.
yes.
And Rachel and I were invited her. And her lifestyle was not godly at all.
Yeah.
And it took probably 3 years of us trying to invite her. And then she got a new job at a new place and we saw her and we kept inviting her. And now she comes.
Yeah. Yeah. She's super involved in our
With
kids
her-
ministry and
with
all
her
that.
daughter.
Yeah.
And I think her wife,
Yeah. Yeah.
you heard me right.
Yeah.
Her wife.
Right.
And they come and you know what? God's doing a great work in them.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that they're there.
Right.
With all the stuff that they're dealing with. And because when a pastor found out that she was a lesbian, I didn't go, oh my God.
Right. What are we going to do if they start making out in church? Well, probably the same thing you would do if Aaron and I started making out in church.
Stop
hey,
that.
That's weird.
Stop
Why
that.
are you doing that? That's strange.
I'm saying
Right.
listen, it's up to God.
Right.
She knows.
Yeah.
We've had talks.
Right.
Rachel's talked with her.
Yeah.
She understands what our stance and what the Bible has to say about
Right.
that is and what God's stance is. But
God's stance is that he loves her.
guess what? She's here.
Right. Exactly.
I'm glad Andrew Schultz is
Right.
visiting.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
It's not up to us to figure that out and solve it for them. That's between them and the Lord. And
Yeah.
that's the goal. So I think just, taking this step to go, who's in my sphere? Who haven't I even noticed? Like, who haven't I been aware of that I should be inviting or that I should be talking to? And then, great. We have a friend, Jason, that follows the Tug of War, and he and his brother, they're volunteer on the school bus drivers. They're great volunteer school bus drivers to help get into their community. Just find a way. Find a way that you can get to know somebody who's far from God. And the thing about it is, once you start doing it, it becomes easier. Like anything else, it's just a muscle. You just have to grow it. And once you learn an easy way in with a conversation or of sharing your story, go see your hairdresser. Talk to your hairdresser about what's going on in your life. I know you are. But instead of just gossiping about you and your husband and all your mess, talk about what God's doing, though, to help restore that. There's all kinds of places.
Be willing to share a little bit of your ugly.
Yeah.
Because when you can share a little bit of your ugly, then you're able to get into the restoration.
Right. Of
which
what
is the
God's
story.
done. That's the testimony.
Yeah.
I think we get I have to give my testimony. No,
Yeah.
just literally one of the things I said yesterday was that Aaron and I, the pride that has crept into our marriage so often is that one of us is unwilling to apologize. Is that I was only 20% wrong. You were 80% wrong. So you're going to apologize first.
Yeah.
And how many years of our marriage? But what an easy thing to throw into a conversation.
Yes.
To go, you know what? Yeah, Aaron and I have been fighting about that too, but I never want to apologize because, God had to tell me, hey, Whit, you need to humble up. Hey, God, when God came in and I finally was like, God, you got to help me. This is a very easy way to slip it into a conversation that someone could be like, oh, we're struggling too. Well, you know what? You ought to come with me. Just come hang out. Whatever.
You just use your life. It's the same way that anything else works. If Whitney gets a new makeup.
What else? What I do?
If you get a new, I buy all these built shirts.
Yeah, and now you got people buying built shirts.
BYLT built shirts. They need to pay me some money because there's 100 dudes in my region now that are wearing these because they see me wear them.
And they're like, "Where'd you get that? How do I find it?"
Use your story
super good
to help somebody else.
And then I think one last thing is if the story, or not a last thing, but another piece is that if you are a little nervous about the story, then another great way to start is things like this, because use your kids.
The invite card.
Do you know that on Easter, your kids are going to get a dozen eggs? Hey, do you know what is so cool about my church?
Yeah.
I don't have to buy an Easter basket.
Yeah.
My church gives an Easter basket. Now you can still buy an Easter basket. Whatever. They give an Easter basket full of eggs for my kids, so I don't have to buy the candy.
The reason that we're doing a petting zoo at Moore Church is not because I want the people who are already partners for their kids to pet a llama.
Right.
No.
No.
If I wanted my kid to pet a llama, I'm going to take my kid to a petting zoo somewhere.
Correct.
The reason that we're renting a petting zoo is so that you can tell your friends, oh my God, they're going to have a llama. You have to bring little...
your son loves weird pig... What are those called? Those little
fat pigs?
Fat pigs? Oh my gosh, we have a fat pig at our church on Easter.
It's just a hook.
It's just a hook. It's just easy.
But it's only a hook if you'll cast it.
Oh, okay. That was good. That was good. That's good.
It's only how you cast it.
No, it's true.
Get to work. There's nobody better than this or Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel's great at it.
I
don't know how she slips it in like deep, like really fast, but it's only because she's practiced it and done it so many times that she's able to just be like, let me cast it.
We'll be in worship. We'll be in worship on Sunday, and I'll just look, and Rachel will not be standing next to me. Like, where is she? Oh, she is a first-time guest, 8 rows back, and she wanted to go and hug him.
And prayed with him now, and
but it's because she understands that what God can do in somebody's life is bigger than the awkwardness she's going to feel. So
wait. We have to say that because it's so good. Because Aaron and Rachel both would, their personality type is to see the one. Those of us who are
better at it than we are.
They're way better at it. Aaron Barth leaves like our taxi driver in New York City thinks that Aaron Barth is his best friend by the time we get out of the taxi, because he's just, tell me about your life. How long have you lived here? How long have you driven? Like all these questions, because he's just taking the time to talk to the one. You and I, because of our tug into more,
we're in work mode.
We have a harder time slowing down and actually taking the time. And so if you're on the tug team, it's likely that you have a harder time slowing down and seeing
the big over the small.
Yeah. The importance of this and the significance and the intentionality of the one person that God's put right in front of you. And we instead see this big goal and this big thing that we're reaching for and striving for. And God's like, hey, the only way you're going to get there is one at a time, one at a time. And so slow down. If you're on the tug team, like for real this week, walk slower in the hallway, pay attention to the people around you, and go like, God, who have you put there? The thing about God is anytime you ask him to like help you in that area, he's going to do it.
He's going to.
If I pray, hey God, will you help me invite 5 people this week? He's going to give me 12.
Yeah.
That I could invite.
Yeah.
I just have to be willing to cast them.
And maybe God didn't do anything except open your eyes.
Correct.
It's not like
it's
all
just
of a
an awareness.
Sudden opportunities happen.
It's not new people. I mean, they can be, but it's also just people that are right there.
Guys, we had a whole other topic we're going to do.
We did, but we now have talked for 41 minutes.
But the other one's a banger. We'll do it coming up later.
That's right.
But hey, love y'all.
Love y'all.
6 days away from Easter. Get to work, everybody. See ya.